All right, we are live. So yes, you definitely want to be looking at the screen when you're talking to everybody. So good morning, everybody. This is Michael Goldberg, the host of the LinkedIn Live Lunch Hour, where we're bringing talent to the top of your minds. And today I've got a very special guest. I'm really excited to have. I would call him a friend and a colleague, Deepak Seth. Welcome. How are you?
Great, wonderful. Thanks, Michael. I'm humbled and privileged to be part of your show. I've seen it number of times. You really try to pull people in and put on a great show. So I'm glad that you considered me to be part of it. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, one of the things that I always like to start out in our broadcast is having my guests tell me a little bit about themselves. Why don't you kind of give us that 30-second to a minute elevator pitch? Let's see how good you can cast that net there.
Wonderful. So I'm Deepak Seth, and interestingly, the last name is pronounced Seth, and it rhymes with innovate because it's an Indian name. And the way I describe myself is, if you look at Seth, so the S is for strategic, E is for execution, T is for transformation, and H is for high energy. So those all things put together is what describe me, Deepak Seth. I've been working in innovation and disruption for a number of years now, basically helping companies work the. So you have got companies, old companies, new companies, which have got a lot of legacy environments, and also you have got these new technologies coming in. So how do you make these new technologies real for old companies is what has been my forte the last many years. So how do you make innovation a part of the DNA of a traditional IT organization? How do you increase the speed of the solution delivery organization so that it's almost become solution acceleration? So that's a passion of mine. Have dabbled in various aspects of technology, and look forward to this great conversation with Michael on how technology and disruption can play a role in his area of work, which is recruiting, as well as wherever this conversation leads us, and especially what the impact of COVID and the post-COVID world is going to be.
So, yeah. I mean, it's disruption is a word that I think is popping into everybody's head. Even when you think of the coronavirus, it was a disruption, right? It was a huge disruption to the economy, to our jobs, to our livelihoods. And, but we're not going to focus on that part today. What we want to focus on is on the technology disruptors and technology disruptions that are out there, whether it applies to recruiting or even everyday life. So I guess the first question is this, looking at what we know today, I know here in Texas, which is a very red state, our governor is opening up some of the stores and stuff like that this Thursday, but by mid-May, hair salons, gyms, they kind of see that going back to is the new normal. But what have you seen over the last couple of months? And it's hard to believe that we've been in this for at least 7 weeks, right? What have you seen as the biggest technology disruptions that have affected, that's had an impact on all of us?
Yeah, so technology is playing a role. So what is happening is so initially there was the shock of this thing happening and the things being closed down. So that was the initial thing happening, which brought about the first phase, you can say, where companies struggle to figure out how they can can still keep things going. So the technology part, which played a key role there, was the ability to quickly transition to work from home or remote working, which most companies took the first, you can say, 15 to 30 days figuring that out, and they have done a remarkable job at that. So one big plus was that already large sections of, if not large, big areas of it, for example, consulting and others were already working on the work from home model, but slowly it needed to be extended to other operational roles too. So you have seen things like Zoom come up, and other Blue Jeans and other kinds of networking and interaction tools come to the fore. infrastructure need to be ramped up to accommodate the bandwidth of so many people trying to work online at the same time. Security was a big consideration, cyber security for big companies. Like, how do you ensure that when so many people who are not accessing the CEOs and leaders in big banks, other places, running back offices and things like that. Interestingly, they have found that productivity is very high, output is very high, because the day is not bookended. People are putting many more hours into their work. Also, there is no commute. So at least means on an average 1 hour and on each end of the day is an extra hour available for working. So Michael, I'll pause here a bit before I go on to the next phase. Any other questions or thoughts coming to your mind?
Yeah. So, and Mark, please forgive me for chopping up your last name. I believe it'd be Gergich or Gergic. Kind of like Jerry Gergich from Parks and Rec. Maybe that's correct. But he asks a question, how do we distinguish ourselves and stand out and disrupt the old school resume-based hiring process?
Mm-hmm. Great.
That's a great question. What's your view on that? And then I might chime in after that.
Wonderful. So interestingly, means I got to engage with one such platform over the last week or so. I'd heard about it, but I got engaged closely with it over the last couple of weeks. Many of you would be knowing Mike Rochelle, who is part of who leads the ABTP, Association of Business Technology Professionals, for Dallas Fort Worth area. You can look him up. So he's working on a platform. The platform is CloudX and the application is something called Kiboli. So what they did was, and I found it very interesting, is they, for executive hire and placement, what they're doing is they shoot a video. It's a video interview conducted by a person, say Mike Rochelle does it. They ask questions which are non-conventional, so as to draw the best out of you, and also spontaneous responses. And what the platform does, so the interview goes on like a normal interview with these curated questions. But then what the platform does, the technology disruptor here is that it parses, it identifies the keywords in the interview. It parses the video according to those keywords. So, for example, if I'm interviewed, which I was, and I speak about innovation, disruption, say maybe Oracle, whatever. So those keywords are established, and if you as the hiring manager or the recruiter want to see what all I had to say about innovation, you can just look for that keyword, and it will play those sections of the video.
Is this a specific tool that you use or that you know about?
It is the application is what they have called is Kiboli. And the tool, I think they're using the underlying AI and ML standard technology available on Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. And what it also does is, gives so suppose 4 or 5 candidates like this are interviewed. Then what they can do is, hey, what did Michael Goldberg had to say about innovation? What did Deepak had to say about innovation? What did Mark had to say about innovation? So they can juxtapose all of them together and play them at the same time. So so that's where I see. So it's a different kind of search, and I think it plays an important role right now is because of the social distancing and whatever. So you had the classical method of your resumes going in and an AI algorithms parsing it and taking it into a black hole or whatever. But the human part was lost in it, especially for senior level hires. So what this does is it brings the human back in, but also does it in a very efficient way, so that if even the recruiter is not available, the hiring manager himself or herself can quickly almost eliminate the stage of needing to do that physical interview and just watch this video and take it to the next stage. So there could be a cost reduction aspect for hiring departments in big corporates, which is one thing which many of them would be interested in at this point of time.
Absolutely. And I think, also to Mark's question, I think as a candidate, you want to distinguish yourself by connecting really, if you want to disrupt as a job job seeker, it's to be out on LinkedIn, putting out content, sharing content, putting out, when I say content, videos, posts, sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise, and making sure that the recruiters who you're targeting with your target companies are seeing these posts and connecting and following with them on LinkedIn so that they start to show up in your feed. So the more you're out on a platform, as you and I both know from an AI perspective, it's going to, it being LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, is going to learn your behavior patterns and how you're putting out that information. So if you drop the word, putting hashtags is another way to get people's attention in the recruiting world. The resume, I'm predicting that the old school resume is probably going to be outdated in the next 3 to 5 years, and then it will be replaced by video completely. That's, I think you're going to have, because of this, and I think we were headed this way even pre-COVID, that we have to put ourselves out there a lot differently than we're used to and comfortable with now more than ever, especially in this job market where you have, you're one of 22 million people trying to look for a job, and everybody's doing it the same way. They're getting on and they're applying on, they're hopping on LinkedIn, hopping on Indeed, hopping on ZipRecruiter, Monster, whatever your mega board of choice is, and just applying for jobs with no real strategy in place. And I think I think that hurts them. So one of the things that I advise my clients to do when I'm working with my job seekers is show them how to be a disruptor, on social media, how to and how to lay the groundwork for getting noticed out on LinkedIn. So Mark, I hope that both Deepak and I answered your question. Mark believes he's definitely participating. So we thank you, Mark. He's saying video interviews are a very good use of time. What's your thoughts on that? What do you think the benefits are of doing these video interviews? I mean, what's in your head about that? I mean, I have some comments, but I'm sure they're very much alike.
I think it means video, as I was saying, means video is good because it brings the human back into the picture. Means people would definitely you can show facets of your personality which the resume may not be able to do a good justice to. They are able to see you face to face. Spontaneity and other things can show up. I mean, because there's only so much you can fake, which is more easier to do on the resume. So in an environment where actual physical interaction cannot happen because of social distancing, COVID, and all, this is the next best option. And only catch with video was, okay, videos can become long, and then people who are seeing it may not be able to figure out whether they want to watch in its entirety. So that's where the other kind of platforms where I was talking about, Kiboli and others, they will be able to parse the video so that then the recruiting manager or the hiring manager can go and specifically look at only those parts of the video which they are interested in. So maybe they're looking for an Oracle expert or SAP expert, and they don't care about you jumped out of a plane and you did innovation and what. They just want to see what have you done with SAP. So they'll go straight to that section of the interview and hear you talk about your SAP or Oracle or accounting or whatever experience which is relevant to them. So that's a good, I think, a very powerful way. Another interesting thing would be all this thing is based on ultimately as things are evolving. And I've written about it, I've spoken about it, is this what I call the public trifecta. So there is a very this is public perception, public trust, public policy. So those determine how things go. So the trust is an important part of it. So in a client hiring manager interaction, like how do you build that trust when you are not just beyond the paper aspect or the screen? I mean, that's where the video can play an important role. Go ahead, Mike.
Absolutely. So Kathleen Griffiths, thank you for your comments here, where she was saying, how do I know I want to spend the amount of time watching the video? Well, it's a great question. So most videos when you're posting on LinkedIn is going to be 30 to 30 seconds to a minute. It really shouldn't be more than a minute long. And where you gain the interest of the video watching comes with the copy that goes above it. So a lot of people will just post a video of themselves without really introducing the topic in the copy section when they're writing out the post. So you want to get people engaged, and you want to have a hook at the beginning so that people will come and watch your videos. You can certainly look at their LinkedIn profile if you want to watch, before you watch the video. But a lot of people have the people that are doing videos now on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. They're ahead of the game. They've been doing it for the last couple of years. I've been doing it since August, and really the window just shortened completely because now everybody wants to do it right. You were asking about, well, how do I get LinkedIn Live? And I told you how I was able to get LinkedIn Live and gave you that suggestion. And but there's a lot of requests going in for LinkedIn Live. So everyone's trying to clamber to the top of at the surface of the ocean to catch air and to try to get some space in the in the video world. So so thanks, Kathleen, for your comments. I hope I answered it. Chuck, Mark, thank you. Yes, always video plus copy. Our good friend Chuck Vanderweel says the Kabuli approach is that the clients are vetted out and ready to hire, sanctioned by the organization and recommended. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the Kabuli approach, so I'll definitely do some more of that. Like, where would the Kabuli approach be used? Is it more for in the in like for tech companies, or can anybody use that type of approach?
I think it could be anyone. So I think it started off primarily for the tech community, but I think it has slowly, because what it does, and I think it makes relevance for others also, is that in addition to the video, it will also link up to your in the tech case with your tech repository, so as to say, means your samples of code or GitHub repository or whatever, means, so that people can actually see what you have done and delivered. But I think what they are trying to do now is pivot to an approach where it can be used for executive hires, for senior executive hire kind of thing. Any position where people would love to see the candidate, see a visual, virtually interact with the candidate in a video kind of setting. Yeah.
So outside of recruiting, what other kind of technologies disruptions are you seeing on the forefront as a result of this, versus technologies that were maybe becoming disruptors pre-COVID, but now have kind of been pushed to the side for these newer technologies? Anything that comes to mind from your research and experience?
I think one of the big things which the COVID thing has done is a lot of things which were already, the trends which were already in play, it has accelerated them. So people were it has converted fence sitters. It has forced fence sitters to become adopters. For example, many companies, so tech companies and others, had moved for work from home or remote working even earlier. But many of the other companies, like the back office of a bank or whatever, they had still got all employees in a big building kind of thing in downtown Manhattan, in a tower there kind of thing. Obviously, that Manhattan is ground zero for this thing, so that model couldn't work. And now they're displaced working from home. So, and they're finding that work from home is working good for them. So so many of them will not return back to the offices. In fact, I was reading a news story earlier this morning. TCS, which is a big offshoring outsourcing company, tech company, they were saying by 2022 or whatever, now they are saying 70% or 80% of their employees will be working from home. So they will release the real estate which they were using to house those people, and will maybe give it back. So this will have a major implication on the commercial real estate sector if this indeed plays out the way it does, way they are saying. Another thing could be that, okay, if you still even work in the offices where you were already there, but social distancing norms or physical distancing norms would require people to be more further apart, so maybe the aisles need to be broadened, or the desks need to be shifted, and all that kind of work. So obviously, the layout of offices as they exist right now would change. The layout of physical retail would change, because the stores also means the uh, stores are already experimenting. They have got one way aisles inside the stores. You can go you can go up the whatever beans aisle, and you have to come the other way across the bread aisle, kind of thing. So those kind of things will come into play. So the drone delivery was one thing which many companies were experimenting with, or cars or driverless delivery vehicles. I think those things will pick up pace now, because there will be greater acceptance for them. Like, maybe when your fast food is delivered to you, some of people wouldn't want to interact with a human at that point of time, because they're not sure whether that person is a asymptomatic carrier or whatever. So might as well have a driverless car pull up, or a driverless delivery vehicle pull up, and they just pick the pizza from it, which trials were already going earlier on, but maybe they will pick speed. There are a lot of fun WhatsApp videos and other things which people are sharing about drones delivering liquor in areas where people are not able to get to their favorite stores, kind of things. But those are all made up, but they can become, maybe they will become a reality.
But
Go ahead.
didn't drones, weren't they already experimenting with the drone delivery at Amazon?
Yeah, they were. So what I'm saying is that what this would do is it will make those from an experimental stage to a they will facilitate, like, when those experiments were going on, the administration, the counties, the towns, they were viewing those in one way, only thinking of what can go wrong with them. But now they will have to look at them the other way, like, oh, we need them because we cannot handle the things the other way. So the whole mindset will change. Another big technology which I think will come up is virtual reality. I think will become more and more relevant, because one big industry which will be hit in the short term, at least, will be travel and tourism. People won't be able to go to places where you want to be, where you want to do stuff, but you are not able to go there because there are no flights, and you don't feel safe. So what you may like to do is may experience the same things while sitting in your home. So you put your virtual reality headset on, and you are walking a museum in Milan, or in the Colosseum in Rome. I already saw that one company had a Everest climb. So maybe you're not able to get to Everest to climb it, but you put this virtual reality headset on and feel that you
say you climbed Everest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it suck the oxygen out of you as you go higher and higher in elevation? That's my question, right?
That may be the next thing.
True reality, right? I mean, because it will be. I mean, you even have that if you've ever been to Disney, where you're in some of those theaters where you're sitting there, and the smells and the feeling of breath and all that kind of come on you, and some of their
I've been there.
This is going to be so I could climb Mount Everest virtually and get that off my bucket list. Awesome.
Immersive. Those are the immersive technology where you're like really immersed in the experience, kind of thing. Lot of products will start carrying that immersive experience that had already started as a trend, but I think it it will pick up speed. So you get that jar of coffee, but there is a link attached. There is on the jar, there is some on the cap or someplace, there is a small icon on it. You look at it with your cell phone or your smartphone, and it pops up the story of the farmer who cultivated it and all that kind of good stuff, which takes you into the experience. So because what people are lacking now as they are locked up in home is the experience part, and that experience part will still need to be brought to the fore. How do restaurants, when you are not allowing people to come into restaurants, or you're allowing only 25% people to show up in the restaurant, even if people who order the takeout food and getting it at home, is there some way the restaurant can still provide them the experience of eating in a restaurant? So how can technology facilitate that? Means those are the kind of things which brains even smarter than me would be looking at. Like, let's bring the restaurant experience into the home kind of thing, and then be able to charge a premium. Because what is happening right now is, as people are not going into restaurants, they're losing money because takeouts pay less than 30% cut is taken by DoorDash or whatever. So they're losing money. So what kind of premium can you add to what you are providing so that people, even for takeout, are willing to pay for the restaurant experience? I mean, that's the kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So we're going to go back to recruiting because a gentleman by the name of Praveen has a question. Welcome, Praveen. We appreciate you joining us. He says, considering the current COVID situation, will hiring managers and companies recruit potential candidates after the telephone video interviews and initiate the offer and joining formalities without a face-to-face discussion? I've got my own political opinions, but you're my guest, so go ahead.
Why don't you go first on this one? You're the expert here on this one.
So short answer, we were just talking about this on a Zoom call last night that I presented. This will become the norm because I can see, well, I can't see you, Praveen, but I can see Deepak, and I know that he is there. He is answering me just as if we're having a face-to-face conversation. The more traditional conservative companies, the companies that remained open, will continue to bring people in for face-to-face interviews and go that route. But the companies that get it and understand that they can save hundreds of thousands of dollars of not flying candidates in for face-to-face interviews, especially if they have to travel from out of town in, they're going to realize, I think I agree with Deepak around the commercial real estate industry, that the skyscrapers that we see will just become co-location towers. That's all they'll become, because no one, now that we have this pandemic coming on, and hopefully this is a once in a century kind of thing, we won't see this again for another 100 to 120 years. But everyone's pretty much told us that this thing's going to come back next year. So I think you're going to see companies remaining at home for the companies that value their employees and have a culture of trust, that you can do interviews this way versus having to bring someone in to the office, because I can communicate just as effectively as long as I imagine that you're sitting right in front of me by looking directly at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Means the only part which is missing is the press the flesh kind of thing. Means the handshake, because there are people who say that I judge the character of the person by his handshake and stuff. So if you have that mindset, means it will take some time to overcome that, because obviously there is no real handshake happening in this virtual world. So how do you deal with that requirement of the people who think that they cannot get the measure of a person unless they have actually seen or interacted or touched him personally? I mean, that's something they'll need to get over, I guess.
It will, because yes, we're used to shaking hands, giving hugs, looking someone direct in the eye and getting to know them face to face. The new reality is it will take some time to get back to that. Mm-hmm. But to your point, do they have to get over it? Yeah, they got to get over that, because people like me are going to adhere to national guidelines and really not go out until either I mean, I'll go out and go places and do stuff, but I'm not going to, you know, I'm still going to take it a lot more slowly than people are suggesting because I don't want to bring that home to me or my family, right? And that's the big thing. So Mark had another question, but I'm trying to. Well, oh no, it was more of a statement that he said every bottle has a story based on the icon or picture on the front of the bottle. Absolutely. So basically, Mark's saying it's how do we capture their attention, right? And he's absolutely right. You've got to be able to capture those folks' attention because you get one shot, and so you have to have your 30-second elevator pitch or your story down straight before you're interviewing. Right. That's how I coach my clients is let's build your story. And they write out all of their accomplishments down, everything in a certain methodology. So that they're able to tell their story, but also they write down some of their failures because you're going to be guaranteed, it's going to be guaranteed that you're going to be asked a question. Tell me about a time where you thought something was going to go according to plan and it didn't.
So that's interesting thing. So story. I mean, I used to teach a class on at one of my previous employers on storytelling through data and all that kind of stuff. But the important part of a story, and even and this relates to the earlier question also on the text you are putting above the video kind of thing. So there are certain hooks. There is certain way of telling a story, and there are certain things which are so intrinsic to us as human beings. So, for example, if you go in almost any cultures, the story starts off with once upon a time. If you look at your older day stories, that it start off with once upon a time and they end at happily ever after. So so it's such a strong thing which is embedded in the brain of almost all cultures, that the story follows those themes. It starts with once upon a time and it ends at happily ever after kind of thing. So
sometimes. Most of the time,
most of, and especially in the kind of stories we want to build here, they have to go that way. But the important part is that the story needs to have a from and a to. So that from and to is very important. So even in the small blurb you're putting above the video, it should be like a from to kind of thing. It is saying, you know what, this particular environment was total chaos, and what I have done is transformed it into this. So watch, and then your video plays, and then it should have linked to saying that if you want to learn more about it, click here. So and it should have a call to action in the end. Whether people actually do that call to action or not, but a call to action is a very powerful incentive for people to take that next step. So at least some % of people would take that next step, a call to action. So make sure that in that blurb which you put on top, it ends with a call to action. So most people who post videos and all on YouTube and all, they definitely make that call to action saying like, share, comment kind of thing. They make it a point to spell it out again and again because our brain responds to those kinds of cues.
Yeah, I mean, stories are socially a part of our everyday life, right? Everybody wants to hear a good story, and I think that hook is it's the once upon a time, but it's also everything starts out. It's like any movie, right? Starts out, unless it's a horror movie, starts out every so and so's got a problem. Right. And they have a problem. They're trying to think through ways of how they can fix that problem. And then they develop something, or they meet a girl, or they whatever. So what were the actions that I had to take in order to get those folks' attention? Right. And so it's what was the situation? What are the tasks that I had to undertake? What are the actions that I took to overcome, whether they be obstacles or to meet our goals? And then what were the results, good, bad, or indifferent?
Yeah.
Right. So that to me is how storytelling works at its best.
Absolutely.
So when you when we're looking here, over the next, whether it be 30 days, 60, even 3 to 6 months, what technology have you been reading about that's not available yet that you think will become a huge disruptor in a positive way for technology?
That's a tricky one. So not seen yet. It means as I said, means virtual reality, immersive reality means those
Right.
are not mainstream right now, but I think them becoming more relevant. Um, I've heard about in the supply chain side as so biggest impact of COVID has been on supply chains. A lot of
Right.
supply chains got disrupted. So there is a renewed interest in blockchain, saying, hey, whether blockchain solutions can somehow be able to manage the supply chain more effectively. So that may come to play, may become even more relevant. So. Uh, 5G, I don't know how important it will become or not. I'm not so sure about it, because um, in some markets, like in UK, people linked COVID to 5G kind of thing, so that they have to work at dispelling those mindset. Um, but I think what the biggest impact would be acceleration of trends which we have already seen in play. So virtual reality, drone delivery, blockchain, driverless cars means the electric vehicles has taken a hit because gas has become so cheap. So electrical vehicles. I was speaking to someone who was involved with an electrical vehicle, one of the new upcoming ones, not the old one which we all know about, not the Tesla, but Rivian is another company coming up. But we're saying, okay, now they're relooking at everything because of this oil change in the oil prices. So
Yeah.
that's a.
No, that's great. I mean, I think, kind of going back to the virtual reality,
Mm,
think about the impact. It would cost companies a lot to do this, but a lot of folks want to know what's it like to work for our organization. So the
mhm,
companies that are leading, well, they're not there yet, but the companies that can develop virtual reality job experiences. So a kind of a day in the life. So in sales, it's going to be an overview of you maybe having someone that's showing you how to do the job, someone that's showing you listening in on a
mhm.
sales call or something like that. Going out on a delivery, how and where to drop packages off. I think those kind of you open the door and give them a little peek inside under the curtain, if you will. I think
Mhm.
companies that can do that and come up with that fairly quickly. I don't know of anybody that's done it yet, but those are the companies that you want to do, so that they can feel the culture, they can or experience the culture, they can experience the job, and really know whether or not this is the company I definitely want to work for.
Absolutely, man. You hit the nail on the head. Means, yeah, absolutely. Somebody will come up with something like that. Even another way in the same continuum of recruiting is the onboarding and the training, job training kind of things. That place that's one thing. So it means you're hired suppose you're hired as a mechanic for repairing copiers. But you actually, these days, you can't be taken into a classroom to learn the skills, but maybe you learn them using a virtual reality headset, where you figure out how to assemble, disassemble, troubleshoot a multifunction print device. Since I worked in Xerox for many years, that's an example which comes to me very naturally.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the things, I have a friend of mine, and we were going to do some work, but he has developed virtual reality to teach prisoners for when they get out how to do different trades. And so they literally put on the goggles and they learn how to do,
Mhm.
like if it's woodworking, miter saw,
Mhm.
construction, the different tools. But even more importantly, they were going to take the virtual reality to the personal level to say, so that if I wanted to play catch with my son, but
Mhm.
I'm not with him, I'm locked up. I could play catch with him in prison.
Mhm.
I could speak to my wife through virtual reality. So
Mhm.
if they couldn't make it to visit somebody, that person could be there in virtual reality, and you can talk to that person. I mean, there's just so much out there to experience, or a potential out there for people to learn virtually. Even Mark Gregory said VR training is huge, and it is training. What are your thoughts on things like that? Do you think that we are going to be maybe teaching new skills? Will colleges be teaching new skills, especially if they don't go back to school in September or August? Will virtual reality be the way that they, or even if they don't go to college and they decide to learn a trade, that virtual reality will be the way to teach trades? Is that the way where we're headed?
Before that, I'll come to a personal story. So my daughter is a medical resident, and so she is working in a COVID hospital. All hospitals are COVID hospitals now. So she's working as in a COVID hospital in Boston, which is one of the hotspots right now.
Sure. What's her name?
Divya.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Divya. Yeah.
Well, Divya, if you're watching, thank you for all you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So an interesting story coming out of here, which she shared with me, was, and this is her first-hand experience, is like a patient, a very old patient who was already in hospice care, was passing away, had got COVID and all, was passing away to the next world, and wasn't able to connect with his loved ones. And his daughter was in UK, and but there was some program by which someone had gifted iPads to the hospital. So on an iPad, the dying patient, was able to watch his daughter play some music because she had learned music or whatever. So she played some music to him as he passed away. So this is virtual reality in a way, and all the people. My daughter was there, and the other care people. Like he passed away more joyously than he would have otherwise. And the daughter wrote a touching note saying that she felt that even though she was not there, she felt that she was in person, playing that instrument or singing to her father. So that brings to reality how technology is helping in such poignant moments also.
Absolutely. So we got a couple of more minutes here as we wrap up, and Charles says, look at the gaming industry. Children through adults are being trained in combat of all kinds. Think about it. Virtual reality combat versus real combat are two different things, Chuck. So that kind of stuff. I guess I'm focused more on. It's taught them better hand-eye coordination, which I guess is good. But I'm talking more about for professionals. Like if we, Mark brought up, hey, what if we can change, watch in virtual reality how to disassemble an engine? I have no idea how to disassemble an engine, but if you show me virtual reality on it, you bet I'm going to pay attention. Number one, it's stimulating to the brain. It's almost like the Matrix. You're kind of plugging in at the back of your head to learn a new skill.
Yeah, means right? The other point, the question before I came to my story was of the hospital was around in the training space itself. So what is happening now? Like a lot of colleges and universities, they're already going to virtual classrooms, but which is still two-dimensional. So physics, chemistry, and economics and others you can teach like that. But the other skill-based ones, for example, gymnastics or playing a particular instrument, means those kind of subjects. How do you make the instruction of that meaningful? Because the teacher needs to give some other kind of instructions to make it more meaningful so that's where virtual reality can come to play. But again, the headsets and all will need to become much cheaper. You had that cardboard one, maybe that will work or whatever. But somehow that those kind of subjects which are better taught in a three-dimensional way rather than a two-dimensional way, maybe that's where the virtual reality can become a differentiator.
Yeah, Chuck felt bad that he took it to the Fortnite or combat level. I told Chuck not to worry about it. You're going to be okay, Chuck. So he changed the topic to drones.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sure, why not? Yeah, but I want to teach them how to build the drones. I want to teach them how to operate drones and some of the cool disruptions that drone technology can show us. It's already proven to show us that it can do a huge overlay of a piece of land from 800 feet up, 1,000 feet up, right? Where normally in the old days we'd have to take a helicopter to go up, well, probably higher than 1,000 feet, but let's call it 3,000 or 4,000 feet to get that lay of the land and picture. Now you don't have to spend the gas and you don't have to hurt the environment. I think the technology is actually going to help the environment down in the long run. That's my kind of parting thought.
Yes, yeah, means even like in this kind of situation where suppose communities are in quarantine. So in the US, the quarantine is not a tight quarantine. People are still going out of their houses and everything. But there are other countries where they are in more tighter quarantines where you cannot even step out of the house and stuff like that. So if somebody is caught up in a scenario like that and needs medical supplies to be delivered to them, and you want to do that without putting humans at risk, because ultimately those delivery people are also human beings, means they are getting exposed and they are facing the brunt of this disease even more than other people. So this could provide a safe way it's a win-win for everyone. So the company is able to pharmacy is able to get the supplies to the sick person without putting another human being at risk by going out in an environment where a virus is rampant.
Absolutely. Well, Deepak, this time always goes by so fast when I'm talking to my guests, especially with great conversations like this. And I've really enjoyed speaking with you. And I appreciate Mark and Charles and who else? There was a few others that commented here. Kathleen, I believe, was her name. Praveen, thank you very much. There's some really good conversation that went down to, Kathleen Griffiths, thank you very much. And to all those that are watching live and on the replay, appreciate you doing it. So we're going to have another LinkedIn Live this Friday coming up. My guest will be Casey Hastings, who is an exceptional recruiter. So looking forward to having her on the guest, but Deepak, you have amazed us today, and to your daughter, thank her for all she's doing from all of us, and we'll see you on the other side. So thanks for watching, and we're going to end the broadcast now. Deepak, you can stay on after I hit that end.
Okay, thanks. Stay safe, take care. Your wonderful audience, wonderful host, Michael. Enjoyed the experience. This was phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.